Welcome to The Way It Is. I am your host, Perry Larrabee, and this is the 19th of August, 2020. And tonight we are going to go through another session of Q&A, and we'll get right into that as soon as we get back. Welcome, and we're back. Okay, we're going to do another session of Q&A based on questions that I've seen in some of the Facebook groups. There was a couple of things I wanted to go over today before we started, but got to be honest with you, today was a little bit disheveled, and just kind of reeling around here a bit and trying to get settled. But anyways, we'll go ahead with the show and see what goes on. Anyways, we're going to start off with a question here. Like a lot of these names I can't pronounce. I have to apologize that in advance. So some of them I won't even attempt. Anyways, this one is from a gentleman, and it says, "Hi guys, is it really necessary to take supplements or to use whey protein?" Okay, now we're gonna, we're gonna go down a little. I think I've already dealt with that question. I go right to the top here. Oh, here we go. How can I get past a weight loss plateau I've been stuck on for the last 2 months? Well, okay. Well, if you've been stuck on a weight plateau for 2 months, could be a lot of things, to be honest with you. You haven't given us a lot of information. But the thing is, some people do believe that the only thing that is necessary is to be in a caloric deficit. But sometimes a caloric deficit will work, and sometimes it'll work for quite a while. But eventually, and depending on how you've worked your macros, if you restrict things for too long without taking a break from it and not deviating, you can actually send your body into starvation mode. And when you do that, your body is basically going to do everything it can. It'll slow down your metabolism, and it will not allow you to, matter of fact, if anything, it'll start to catabolize your lean muscle mass. So you have to be aware. Now, if you're on a straightforward caloric deficit situation, then maybe it's time to play around with your macros a little bit. Maybe depending on, maybe you've had your fats down too low for too long. Maybe drop your carbohydrates some, bring your fats back up to a certain degree. You could even, maybe the reality is maybe you're taking in too much protein for what your requirement is. I mean, some people, they get on a diet and they don't think. They start off with saying, well, if you're training to try and gain some muscle mass, you want roughly about 1 pound or 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But they forget to take into account that, they've dropped 40 pounds or something of, hopefully mostly fat and not too much lean muscle. Now, all of a sudden, their protein requirement is not as high. I don't think a lot of people even take that into consideration. So I would say to this individual at that point, it's time to play around with your macros. Leave your calories where they are unless they've been very restrictive. If they've been super restrictive, I say go off them completely for up to a week. And I don't mean eat a whole bunch of junk. I just mean, maybe don't be so cautious about what you're eating and your breakdown. Maybe allow yourself a little extra fat, and just give your body a break, and then go back at it with the same numbers. If the same numbers don't work, then adjust your macros around, and that is what I would do. Okay, and then I have a second question here. It says, I'm a hard gainer, which means I have to eat a lot to see results. It says, problem is, what the hell is this? I just bring it up on the screen here. Hold on a second here. Problem is, Just give me a second here, folks. Sometimes, yeah. Problem is, I'm noticing that I'm also gaining a bigger gut. What should I do to prevent this? Well, my thoughts are then, if you're a hard gainer, hard gainers by definition alone don't usually gain tremendous amount of belly fat. So I'm a little bit thrown off by what you've said. Hard gainers, generally speaking, a very ectomorphic physique. They're usually almost straight body from head to toe. And, there is no, it's very rare that they'll have a protruding abdominal wall and be, very thin everywhere else. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's very rare. So, and my guess here is that in going around that, I think you're probably consuming foods that are maybe too high in sugars and fats, especially if you've gone into some type of a weight gaining formula. I rarely, if ever, suggest that somebody goes into using any type of weight gaining solution. They're just basically loaded with tons and tons of sugar, and they don't give you any quality calories. Now, most of them, have usually a same protein requirement as a regular protein supplement, and then they add in all these extra calories. So yes, you are getting your protein, but with that said, you don't need a whole bunch of extra empty calories, which is what those are. I mean, they're nothing but glucose or forms of glucose that you're usually consuming. So if you're a really hard gainer, maybe supplement yourself with 2 or 3 protein drinks, but not weight gaining. Skim milk or even 1%, maybe even 2%, with your protein powder, and eat as much as you can with clean food. And I do mean clean. Some people have this idea that, a lot of the boxed foods that they eat, because they're healthy choices and this and that they're a good replacement for just wholesome, regular off-the-shelf food, but they're not. They do have a lot of the same properties on paper, but your body does not process them the same way. If you buy chicken breast from the butcher and you buy fresh vegetables and you buy, just some plain pasta or whatever, or some potatoes, you cook that as is yourself, versus a meal that's boxed up that says, X amount of protein, fats are low, this, that, and the other thing. I guarantee you that meal that you just bought in a box does not get processed the same way as the clean food does, and not near as efficiently. So just be aware when you're trying to, get yourself, you put on some weight and you don't want to have the excess fat. Make sure that your calories you're taking in are quality calories. Okay, let's go on to this one. Hi, everyone. When is the best time to start working out after a C-section? Okay. This lady posted, I actually responded to her already in the Facebook group, and I'm going to address this here because I saw all types of people giving her advice. This is a medical question. You do not want to be playing around with this as much as any trainer, can give you direction on how to train your midsection. It's going to be up to your doctor, and based on what you went through for your C-section, if or when, specifically, it's okay to start doing any work. A lot of people have C-sections due to a lot of, complicated reasons, not by choice. So, if your doctor has, told you that you're completely healed, that's fine. Go by his direction, but keep this in mind, okay? If you have a C-section, it's just like any other type of operation. I know because I'm in this predicament right now. A little flashback for people who don't know, I had a tremendous illness in 2016. I still suffer from the repercussions. And you have to, after an operation, you need a specific time for your abdominal wall to heal. I've been opened up twice, and now I have 2 major hernias now, and they're not pretty to look at. I'm not talking about little bumps here on my stomach. Now, imagine someone's being opened up in order to have a child. If you go at that too quickly and too hard, you could literally cause a rupture, and then you're going to be dealing with a very bad situation in the case of a hernia. Some people's hernias can be very severe depending on your physical state. They're just not something to play with, and you don't want to invite trouble. So get the go ahead from your doctor. Once he says it's okay, then I say go into the gym, maybe put in your first month or a month and a half, just going at it light, very light midsection work, and then you can ramp up a bit from there. And that's how I would go about it. But get clearance from your doctor. This is not really the place for a trainer or even non-trainers, even other ladies, for example, who mean well and may have had a C-section. You don't want to take that upon yourself. You want to get some medical help from professionals. Okay. Okay. I want lean gains, but it's difficult. But it's difficult to sustain lean muscle gain. Any advice? Well, I don't agree that it's difficult to sustain lean muscle gain. Lean muscle gain, once it's, getting it, attaining it, can be a bit of a challenge, and especially I answered this gentleman's question as well in the forum, but gaining the muscle as a natural athlete as opposed to a non-natural athlete is a longer drawn out process. It's a very sweet process if you do it the natural way, because it's going to be there for your lifetime. Now, the thing is, when he's telling me it's hard to sustain that, I don't understand what he's meaning, unless, he's basically gone the road of using anabolics. And as soon as you go off your anabolics, you're going to lose most everything that you just gained. Some people even are further behind than when they started. So what do? Once you've made your lean gains, if you decided that you're at a point where you don't want to be any bigger or you don't want to be any leaner, well, then you just adjust your diet. You adjust your diet so to make sure you're getting the proper caloric content, the proper macros. You should have maintaining that amount of lean muscle should be no problem at all. You should be able to, I've been through this process myself because I've had different types of training depending on the point in my life I was at, what I was doing. I spent 5 years, and I also tell people, you don't really know what your lean body, your actual, fat content is, but, using my eye and judging by what I see around me, I'll venture to say that it was in around 5%, and I maintained that for 5 years, 6 years, and without even a sweat. Literally, training was easy, eating was easy. It's not rocket science. It's the easier of the two. Let me tell you, gaining that lean muscle is a lot tougher than holding on to it. So, he said, don't change your training at all. Just adjust your macros. You have to know where you're sitting at for calories. If you're just guessing at it, how do you make a plan on that? You need to know where you're at and where you want to go. It doesn't matter whether you want to lose, whether you want to gain, or whether you want to maintain. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Here's some of these questions. Like I said, they're very, very beginner's questions. Hi, ladies and gents. Any advice on how to build bigger biceps? Let me just expand this just a little bit. Hold on a second here. I think this is a gentleman who wants to work his biceps. Okay, I get what he says. He wants to. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Shall I work them twice a week? First time going heavy, second time going more reps and lighter weight? Well, I'm a very large proponent of high intensity training, which means training your body parts once a week, very few sets, all out. But for those who aren't up to that style of training, if you're even making use of the sets you're doing, you shouldn't be doing any exceedingly high numbers of sets, period. It's a waste of time to be efficient with your time. And where would be the common sense in going heavy and then going light? Some people are going to say, well, you train heavy to gain some mass, and you train light to get a little more definition. Well, that's a lot of bunk, okay? You gain your definition through loss of body fat, and you can do that through calories and through macro adjustments. You don't have to adjust your training whatsoever. So for most people, the bicep, especially being one of the smaller body parts, if you were on, let's say, a 3-day split and you wanted to train 5 days a week, I don't think it's the ideal way, but I've done it myself for long periods of time. That way, if you were just rotating everything, so you go day one, day two, day three, and then go day one, day two, and then you start off on day three on the following week, then some weeks you're only working your biceps once, sometimes you're working it twice, and that would be okay. But I would not do two different types of workouts. Now, can you do different types of exercises? That's fine. But do you have to actually change the, the weight and rep ratio? No, you don't have to do any of that at all. It wouldn't make any difference. Okay. Let's go. Sorry about that. Sorry, I heard some noise here. Okay, it says, next question says, I am 60. Can I start bodybuilding? Well, of course you can start bodybuilding. You can start bodybuilding at any age. You can reinvent yourself. Bodybuilding, you can start when you're in your very early teens. You can start it when you're 30, 40, 50, 60. I know people that never went to the gym before they turned 70. Now, bodybuilding, by definition, becomes something different at different ages in your life. I mean, somebody who wants to be a competitive bodybuilder 20 years old and somebody at 65 are probably not, realistically looking at the same type of goals. But sadly, with the state of the drug situation, a lot of people are, both old and young are going down that route and pushing for a little bit too much, especially later in life. But what I say to this individual is, go for it. If you've never been in the gym before, be cautious at the beginning. Just remember, if you've never been to the gym and you want to start bodybuilding, your body is not worth your tendons, your ligaments, all these things. They're not used to being worked like that. So you have to give everything a chance to get accustomed. And people's definition of time is so bizarre to me. I read people's intros and their blogs and things. And people actually think that 3-4 months or even 1 year of training is a long time. That's just infancy. You haven't even started to train yet. You know nothing about your body in a few months or a year. Learning about your body, what makes it work, what's effective for it, takes years. So with that in mind, like I said, jump in there, take your time, take the first 3 months, 6 months, just get yourself, into a rhythm, getting yourself dedicated to regular days of training. Like I said, get on a system, look out and get some help, either reach out to someone like myself or another trainer, the case may be, and you should have no problem, and you can make some tremendous strides. And don't be also taken by the old myth that your testosterone level has gone down so much that you can't make gains at 60, because that's not true. First of all, even the decrease in testosterone is not the same for everybody. I had myself tested not even less than a year ago. I'd say about 7 months ago, and my testosterone levels are actually high normal. So it's not the same for everybody. And just because you have lower testosterone levels, it just means that your testosterone levels are not optimal. That's all it means. But how much testosterone do you actually need to have growth? Nobody actually has ever quantitated that. There's the big thing. People all think, well, you produce, this is normal range for a 20-year-old, this is normal range for a 50-year-old. There's no way I'm going to make that. But how much of that percentage does that 20-year-old actually need to make that change? It's never been quantitated. Anyways, let's move right along. If I eat eggs twice per day and I go to the gym in the morning and night, how long will it take for? Oh, boy, sorry, I have to expand some of these questions so I can see them all. How long will it take for my muscles to grow? Okay, well, that makes sense. Anyways, okay, well, first of all, eating eggs twice a day has little relevancy to how much your muscles will grow. Eggs should be part of a good balanced diet. Definitely one of nature's most perfect foods when it comes to supplying, fat, protein, and that's for sure. It's this bit of only eating the egg whites and throwing away the yolks is garbage. What better way to take in fats but in a natural state? That said, do eggs, are they going to make the difference between a tremendous bodybuilding success and not? Of course not. You have to determine that through all your nutritional needs through your training, through your psychological approach, and through your rest and recuperation. If you don't put all those together in a fashion that works for you, your growth is not going to be what you want it to be. So don't put so much hope in eating eggs twice a day. Can you eat eggs twice a day? Sure you can. Most people say, well, what about the cholesterol? Well, for those who are not informed, your body makes its own cholesterol in itself. Okay. So now if you're prone to high levels of bad cholesterol, then you might want to consult with your doctor on that. If there's no history of that in your family, then I think it's fine to eat eggs, a couple times a day, whatever you'd like. Okay. Let's go. How many days should we rest in a week to be strong enough? It doesn't say to be strong enough for what. I've already kind of tackled this subject when I talked about the cornerstones. I'm just mixing up my drink here. Cornerstones of bodybuilding. Just hold on a second. Rest is even more important than training. Yes, you have to create your stimulus in order to start, to initiate growth. Growth does not happen in the gym. That is only a pump. Very temporary. It leaves. As a matter of fact, afterwards, you generally feel smaller and flat after, because basically you've blown yourself up and then you deflate. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but that is what happens with most people. Okay. During your rest period and recuperation, that is when you grow. So if all you're doing is training all the time and you're not giving your body parts rest, and that's the importance of doing a proper split. If you're hitting things hard, if you're training very intensely, but you're not getting proper rest, meaning you've got things broken up so that you either directly or indirectly hitting a body part almost every day, you're never resting it. And if you never rest it, then you're never going to get your maximum development on. Can you still have development? Sure you can, but you're not going to gain it all. And especially if you're a natural athlete, you want to make use of every bit of growth that you can get. So rest properly. That means do your training, be short, intense workouts. Don't go running 5 and 10 miles every day on top of that, because you're not going to maximize growth. And have an active lifestyle. Go out for a walk, go whatever, hiking, things like that. Be active, but don't do other intense activities, because they are definitely going to be contraindicated towards good muscular growth. Okay, I am new. What exercises should I do first? Well, that's a very open-ended question. Some people will just send somebody towards all the basics, meaning, deadlifting, squatting, and bench pressing. I tend to veer away from that. If someone's completely new, and I'm going to assume that they're not out there to be power lifters. Can you just hold on? I'm just going to mute my mic there just for a second. Sorry, I thought I was hearing something, but I wasn't. Anyways, okay. What was I talking about here? Okay, I had to bring this back up on screen here. Okay. Oh yeah, so we're talking about exercise to do first. All right, so if you're wanting to be a power lifter, then yes, it's very important to do the basics. And I probably wouldn't have you doing much else besides the basics. But the people that are coming to see me, they're people that just want to lose fat, gain muscle, or become bodybuilders, become fitness athletes. And for these people, I would generally put them on, more common everyday exercises, at least for the first, month to 3 months. Once that is completed and I can see, where they're at, how much drive they have, how focused they are, really how serious they are about what they want to do, then I can delve into the world maybe of adding in some of the basic compound movements. And I do believe in doing the basic compound movements. I believe everybody should do some version of squatting. I do believe somebody should do some version of deadlifting at the beginning. Where I differentiate is, unless you're doing powerlifting, I stay almost completely away from bench press. I haven't done bench press since my second year of training. That's not a lie. And I've been training 43 years. So, and I've always had a standout chest in any show. So you don't need a bench press to do that. It's a good ego lifting exercise, and depending on how you're built anatomically, you may be at an advantage or a disadvantage for doing it. So do an all-round body workout. Keep it simple for the first few months. Just get your body working. You'll get an idea of what more you want to actually accomplish, and then make adjustments from there. It says, could I please get tips on how to get rid of my belly fat? We'll be hit with this question time and time again. Once again, no such thing as spot reduction. There is no pill, there's no lotion, there's no jiggly machine, there's no powder, there's no drink, there's no nothing. Your body will determine where you're going to lose your body fat, from when, and at what rate. That is the end of that story. What is the best supplement for a beginner? Best supplement for a beginner is hard work, nutrition, and rest. No such thing as needing a supplement as a beginner. You should be able to make gains. I've run whole shows without taking a supplement. So you should be able to just go out there and bang it out and be focused and get yourself rest and good nutrition, and you don't need supplements. They are supplements. Remember that. They are not what you need to grow. Okay, we've been to that question, A few of these questions, just got to zip through them here. Here's an odd question, but maybe some people don't know the answer to this. What makes left arm bigger than the right arm? Well, it's not always the left arm, but everybody has a dominant side. Everybody has a dominant side on their body, and that means it doesn't necessarily mean if you're left-handed, you're right-handed. Somebody just has a more dominant side that's always stronger, feels better coordinated. It's just the way we're designed. So if you're training properly and sensibly, though, you should not see any tremendous amounts of differences between sides, because you should be able to focus enough to bring up any deficiencies on the weaker side. And if you have a really large differential between sides, there might be other things underlying there, and you might want to get that looked at. Okay. Quick question. I don't think, anyways, we'll answer it. Can sex reduce muscle growth? Well, not if you have a normal, healthy sex life. If if that's all you're doing with your spare time, well, it's like anything else. It can be a very strenuous activity. If you keep doing strenuous activity all the time and then expect to get the most out of your training, it's not going to happen. You are going to, it is impossible even to lose some of your progress. Okay. There we go. How many sets per muscle group per workout works best for mass, and how many workouts per muscle group? Okay, so there is no best, but I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts of what I think is the most efficient. There's many ways to gain mass. There's many ways to get strong. Talking about the most efficient way, high intensity training is the only way to go if you're looking for the most efficient way. What do I mean by that? I mean, basically, you're going to be training your body parts once every 7 days. It could be anywhere in 6 days or anywhere in 9 days for some people. You're going to supply proper nutrition, and when it comes to sets and repetitions, you probably should be working in that 6 to 8 repetition range. Definitely not higher than 10. You're going all out on these sets, and you don't need to do more than 2 or 3 sets per body part. Yes, I said per body part. I didn't say per exercise. Okay, that's the reality. I know it works. I've done it myself. Many people are switching over and the only reason a lot of them aren't is people just, first of all, if you're using drugs, you can grow in anything. You can literally just play around with a pair of light dumbbells and you can grow to some extent. But when you really got to pound it out to make growth, whether you're a user or not a user, you got to put in more effort than that, and then you need something with a lot more intensity. Is 8x12 overtraining or too much volume for muscle recovery? And the question's not even straightforward. 8x12, I'm not sure what he means. So I never understood why people volume train while cutting. Okay, this is true. Volume training, matter of fact, people lose some of their density and some of their hard-earned size by all of a sudden changing it up and deciding that you have to increase the amount of repetitions, increase the amount of sets in order to get to cut for a show. That's all accomplished through your diet. Some people build in some cardio too, but if you try your best to maintain your strength, always pushing forward, always pushing for more, you're going to have the most dense physique you've ever produced. Excuse me, the largest physique you ever produced. I guarantee it. You go the other route, I guarantee you'll get a little smaller, a little softer than you would have been if you got on stage by just keep going it in the same direction you were in the first place. Okay, we are going to call that a day there. We're at the 30-minute mark. I don't really like to go any further than that. Sometimes I like to finish off the show by talking about a few of the stupid little things I see. But you know what? I saw so many stupid things today on the internet in regards to people who call themselves personal trainers and the like that I think I'm just going to leave it alone for one day. Anyways, this is the way it is naturally. My name is Perry. I hope that you will keep tuning in and follow me on Bull First Training on YouTube. Put a like to the streams and to the videos. Subscribe to the channel. Be really appreciated. And anybody who wants to contact me in regards to training, I have 43 years of solid training. That means both bodybuilding and fitness. And love to hear from you. Anyways, until that time, you take care, and we'll see you again on Friday.